Welcome back, everybody, to Spirit Hunters Paranormal 911. My name is Tim. We've been doing a series on paranormal investigating and research, going over a lot of different areas. Some of it, how I got into doing paranormal investigating, part on how we do our investigating, some of the places that we go, things that we do while we go to some of these places, just little different subjects, that kind of help. A lot of people have asked me, what it's like being a paranormal investigator, how you go about becoming one. So some of this is kind of educational, gives you some tips, little hints of things you can do to become an investigator. The video I was going to do today was going to be on basically paranormal equipment, some of the equipment that can be used, some of the equipment that's out there available, how you use it, what it does. But I'm going to do that, I think, on my next video. The one I want to do today is I've had a lot of questions on some of the things that I've done, so I kind of want to go over it. I've had people ask me, what is the scariest investigation I've been on, or something that has happened to me. One of my, I guess, favorite investigations I've been on. I've had people ask me if we're able to talk to any spirits. I'm having questions like that, and I want to kind of cover some of that area. First, I want to kind of start off with one of the questions was, what was my scariest? It was something back when I was probably in my early 20s, mid-20s, where I had an incident happen, because I've had incidents happen pretty much throughout my whole life. A lot of it was pretty scary at the beginning, especially as a child, not understanding why or what exactly was going on. But I do remember the scariest time that I had was I was shaving. It was in the evening time, night time. I was in the bathroom shaving, and as I was shaving, the lights kind of flickered a little bit, and then it kind of went as if you had a dimmer switch where you could turn your lights all the way down, or up, however you wanted to do it. It was like somebody took a dimmer switch and turned the light all the way down. But when it got to, I could still see, but when it got down to the slowest point or spot, as I was looking at the mirror or looking at the light, I noticed kind of like a figure over my shoulder, over my left shoulder, and it wasn't like a human face. It was, it was a face, but it wasn't like a human's face. It was, I guess you would maybe call it kind of demonic, evil looking. And I just only saw it for just a matter of just a few seconds, because it just caught my eye. It was just like I saw it, and then the lights just went out. Needless to say, I freaked out. It scared me. Of course, lights came back on, and I'm looking around. There's nothing there. Couldn't come up with any explanation for it. It's something that happened. That was probably the scariest moment that I can recall of anything that's ever happened to me. The most, I guess, exciting, or something that I felt real positive about that has ever happened to me was several years back. My wife got real ill. It's kind of a touchy subject here. My wife got real ill. She was diagnosed stage 4 terminal cancer, and we were at the hospital, and I was with her when she took her last breath, which was, very hard on us. But I do know that at that point when she took her last breath, it was like a major energy filled the room. It was just all around me. And, I felt that difference in that temperature. The temperature just dropped. It got real cold. And, when you have, I don't know what you want to call it, but when the hairs stand up on your arms and around your neck and everything, it's kind of like a chills of something that, just gets you. That was happening to me. And I was feeling, it was like, not like a touch, but more like an embracement, like I was being hugged, is what it felt like. And as that was going on, I was hearing a whisper in my ear, which I was actually able to make out, and it was her voice, and she was telling me that everything is going to be all right, that more or less that she was with the Lord now, that I didn't have to worry, she wasn't suffering, and I mean, that to me was the most memorable and positive event that I would say ever happened in my life. It was very a sad time, but I felt that, I guess you would say, I don't know, it would be security or what it would be called, but it was that I knew that she was going to be taken care of, she was fine where she was going, that she was at peace at that time. Some of the other things that have happened to me, like I say, I've had people ask me different questions. It's hard to remember all of them, but I do recall another one where I'd run into somebody and they knew basically what I did, and they asked me if I was able to talk to any spirits or all spirits. No, not really. I mean, we never know which ones are going to make a connection with us, or who we're going to talk with. It's not like I could just go anywhere and say, all right, I'm going to talk to this spirit today. Doesn't really happen that way. But she asked me that, and she says, well, are there people that maybe have lost a family member or something like that, where I've been able to go and make a connection for that family? Yes, I have. Not that often. I really, it's hard to do, not meaning the fact that it's hard to make that connection or that communication, but it's hard to do that for a family due to the fact that they possibly could be grieving that time. They just want some closure. It's hard on me to say yes. Let's try to make that communication. But if we're not able to, it's almost like a letdown in a way. I hate that because I feel like I wasn't able to do what I was hoping to. So I kind of choose and pick on situations like that. It pretty much just depends on the circumstances of the family. I'll talk with them, get a little information, about what happened. It just depends on the situation as to whether I'll even, offer to try or anything. But of course, I tell the ones that I have, that there's no guarantee, because there's not a guarantee. Uh, Possibly it'll happen, but there's always that possibility that there won't, so not to get their hopes up. If we can make that communication, all well and good. If not, maybe another time, because not all spirits will communicate. I do remember, this is kind of a memorable one also. I was doing investigation in a cemetery. It was a daytime investigation. Well, it wasn't necessarily an investigation, but we were pretty much doing our walkthrough, and there was another family that was there at the cemetery. They were visiting, I guess, one of their loved ones' graves, but we were kind of off in a different spot, and I was doing a little spirit box session, and as they were leaving, they kind of went by us, and they were, I guess, kind of paying attention to what we were doing, or checking it out, see what we were doing, and they stopped and talked with me a little bit, and there was another one that asked me if I was able to talk to spirits, and I said, we do get to talk to them here, or have some type of connection with them here and there. It's not always. And she asked me if it would be possible to try to make communication with their son. I said, well, I don't really do a lot of that. I have done a few of them. Sometimes we're able to make that connection, sometimes we don't. And we talked a little bit about it. She told me that her son was, I believe he was like about 15 or 16 years old, maybe a little bit older. I can't recollect exactly how old he was, but he had died from a drug overdose, and it was just like they didn't know why or what had happened. They just know that's the reason for the death, and I kind of felt sad about that, and I said, well, I don't guarantee that we'd be able to make that communication, but I would like to give it a try, and possibly maybe give you some closure, or you know, kind of help you in this time. Now I did, ask them if they would mind if I would record the session. They preferred that I didn't, which I will honor. I always honor that decision out of respect. I will not give names because, that's another thing that they just didn't really want to be out there in one of my videos or whatever for people to see, so I kind of kept that. But we sat down, and I got some basic information about him. His name, his parents' name, to where I could try to make that communication. And at first, we were picking up, sounds coming through the spirit box, but it wasn't more or less anything coming through to the questions or what we were trying to get as a response. That was probably for about the first 4 or 5 minutes. And then all of a sudden, we started getting something came back, and the voice that came through, I heard the voice, but the mother, she, I guess it hit her right off the bat, because she said, "That is my son." And I thought, well, okay, maybe we are doing some good here. So we started asking, some basic questions. They were wanting to know whether, it was an accident or something he actually did, or what had happened. And, we did get a response back where we heard the word accident. We also got the voice to come back and say the mother's name. We also got a year of when he passed away. And one of the other questions that we did get a pretty accurate response to was what color shirt his mom was wearing, and the color came through. So I mean, there was tears and everything during the session, but you know, after everything was done, they thanked us for doing this for them, and they said that, you know, they know now that it wasn't caused by somebody else. It was just an accident, so they felt kind of relief that they had some answers on, you know, what had happened. So it was kind of like a closure to them. So I felt good about that. But like I say, I don't try to do that for a lot, because there's always that chance that you don't make that connection. And you know, I just don't want to put the family through that, and I don't enjoy it myself. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things, because I have people ask me, why, you know, you've been doing this for some time now, why don't you have a lot more videos out? Truth is that a lot of stuff that I did back as I was growing up, I didn't have a video camera or a spirit box or EMF meter or anything. Excuse me. A lot of stuff that I was doing or getting was what I could see, what I could hear, what I was feeling. That was what I was going mostly on. Probably in my 20s or late teens. Um, since I didn't have cameras or stuff like that back then, I was pretty much almost like keeping a journal or some kind of a notes that I was taking on things that would happen to me throughout my life, and I did that, you know, all along. I probably could, you know, write an autobiography on myself, you know, the life and time of Tim in the spirit paranormal world, but I mean, I had trouble just talking over a camera and just not used to it, and I tried to write a book or a biography or something, that'd probably wind up a little bit worse, so that's probably never going to happen. But I kept a journal of a lot of things that happened to me throughout my life, you know, things that I've done. When I actually got into doing more of paranormal investigating research, still, you know, I just kept like a log of everything that was going on, everything we did. Um, you know, we used just a regular basic camera, you know, to take like still pictures. I got a voice recorder to see if we could record some stuff like that. A lot of the equipment we used is kind of like old school. I used a compass rather than a K2 meter, because at that time I didn't even know that kind of equipment was out. It may have not even been out at that time, but I used a compass because it picked up on magnetic flow or energy, and I was able to use it in places that I had the feeling of energy around me, to where the needle would usually point towards the north, because that's what it's supposed to do, but the needle, it would fluctuate. It would kind of turn back and forth. It would move around. It wasn't just that steady point at that one direction. So that's one thing I used as kind of some of my verification or evidence, even though, you know, you can't really prove that what it was. Voice recorder. Occasionally I'd pick up sounds that I wasn't able to hear with my own ears. It's like I could hear whispers through it occasionally. Another thing I would use would be like objects, like say a ball or oh, I don't know, just little different objects to where I try to get them to move it, a coin or glass or, just different things, whatever I could think of, see if I could get them to move some of that stuff. Um, Occasionally, I would see some of that stuff move as I asked the question or asking them to move that object or do something. Um, Most of the time, what I was saying wasn't asking the question; it would just happen. Um, it's just like the voices. It's just out of the middle of nowhere. I hear a whisper. I hear a voice, or catch something out of the corner of my eye moving, like a shadow. Um, back then it was hard to prove, that even spirits or any of this paranormal was even real. I don't even think it was even called paranormal back then. Um, I think that happened later on in my life when I found out anything about that. But they asked, why I don't put out a lot more videos. Well, I really didn't even think about it, during the time when I was doing a lot of the investigations. And I'd run into another person, um, that before we even started doing videos, was saying what we were doing. And, at that time I did have a little bit of the equipment. I had a K2 meter. I did get a spirit box because I was interested in trying to see if we could communicate through those two devices. I still didn't have a video camera, um, but they asked me why wasn't I filming these and posting them like on YouTube. Didn't even know that you could at that time. Um, I thought YouTube was more for like music and people doing kind of family videos or something like that. I didn't know there was even any paranormal type videos that was out there. So I started checking into that and seeing as much as going on, and I didn't realize that there was as many people out there doing paranormal investigations or research or videos. It kind of surprised me. So I thought, well, I need to get me a camera and start doing that. So that is one reason why I don't have a lot of videos. And of course, I've had one person says, well, your videos look like you just started. And I go, well, yeah, pretty much I did. Uh, I'm not used to working with cameras and a lot of these things, or doing it on investigation. Everything I was doing was by uh, smell, sight, hearing, touching, feelings, that kind of investigation. So now it's like a new ball game to me, trying to learn how to use a camera and capture this stuff. And so, yeah, they do look like I just started out. And basically, they're true. I did start out by doing videos, even though I've been doing, you know, paranormal research or investigating for quite a while. I will get better at it. Like I say, it's new to me. But I didn't know that, that was out there. Um, I started watching a lot of videos and seeing some of the other investigators that are out there, how they're doing it, um, seeing some of the things they were able to capture, places they were going. I kind of learned a little bit from them on helping me out to be able to do these videos. And I was also able to get in contact or become a follower of some of their channels, and I was able to communicate with them a little bit, which we still communicate, a few of us, we still communicate back and forth on some of the things I might come across that I have a question about. I can get in contact with them, and they help me out quite a bit. So that's one of the reasons why you haven't seen a lot of our videos. Now that we're doing this, you'll probably see a lot of them. And I hope you will come and join our channel, become one of our fans or followers, you know, and see our videos as we're going to be putting them out. because we plan on capturing a lot of activity, going to new places that we haven't been. Uh, Eventually we're going to start doing a little bit of traveling, but that takes a little bit of money to be able to do some of those type of investigations. But eventually we will be getting to do that. Um, One of the other questions that I've had is basically why, you know, they they've heard that it takes me a day or 2 days before I put out a video. I want to know why it took so long to do something. Because basically they thought you just go to a place, you record it, you download it onto YouTube. A lot of investigators probably do that. I kind of categorize them more in the lines of just for entertainment, or uh, in the lines of, well, they were able to capture something and they just want to show everybody that what they were able to capture on video. Myself, which I've said in probably one or two of my other videos in this series, that I'm more into it for the research, as well as trying to prove that um, spirits are real. What is happening, what we are capturing is real. And it's hard to do. There's no real proof of it, only theory, only our opinions. But I'm hoping someday that between myself and other investigators out there, we will be able to come up with a little bit more conclusive evidence of how this is happening, why it's happening, more or less proof that we are communicating with spirits. I believe there is life after death. I believe there are spirits out there. I do believe that things do happen because I'm seeing them, witnessing them, and can't come up with any logical explanation on how a lot of these things are happening. Um, Especially when you get that feeling where somebody just touched you, or you hear a voice in your ear and there's nobody there with you. How do you explain that? You know, you can't, you say, well, something's happening, that, but you can't positively say, well, that was a spirit that did it. We really don't know. It's just something that's paranormal phenomenon. We can't explain it, but we do know it's happening. Hopefully someday we'll be able to have more evidence, or they keep coming up with new equipment all the time that helps us better ourselves, learn more, able to capture more. So who knows, in the near future, these equipments that they keep inventing or coming up with will be the final key or tool to be able to say exactly, yes, this is a spirit. We don't see them, but we're hearing them. Well, I guess you could say in a way that we are seeing them, because we're seeing shadow figures. There have been some investigators that have seen or captured on a still photo of an apparition, a full body figure. But seeing things move, being able to capture that, if we can come up with the exact reason, or have some kind of definite proof that spirits are real, but it's hard to do. We're talking to them over the spirit box, and a lot of the questions that we ask, we're getting distinct answers back in our questions, which made me pretty much a firm believer that yes, I am communicating with that spirit. When I ask them to tell me their name, which you know it just happens to come through, or ask a certain date, and the date that we're talking about, that date is said. or you ask them what color flowers are on their grave, or what color shirt you're wearing. I mean, there's a lot of apps and a lot of things that came out that you can download on your phones. Um, I mean, a lot of them I think are more or less a game or just entertainment. Uh, it's almost like there's a program in it that makes it say things or do things. Of course, a lot of these things, using whatever, they seem like they're real, but when you start asking distinct or certain questions, not getting any type of distinct response back to those questions, no, they're not real. They're more or less a game or just entertainment, even though they may seem real. There are some out there that when you do ask that question, you are getting that response back that you're trying to get. Those I do believe it's real. And I'm finding that a lot of those, they're not labeled as entertainment, they're labeled as a lifestyle. So if you decide you want to get some of those programs, look for that little title down underneath of it. It'll say lifestyle instead of entertainment. Not saying, guaranteeing that they are 100% real or everything you're getting from them, but a lot of the equipment that you buy for paranormal investigation, I mean, there's several different spirit boxes. You got your SB7, you got your SB10, which is a upgraded model, does a little more features. Um, there is one app that for a spirit box that you can get online. It's called Necrophonics. That's a new app that I got probably 4 or 5 months ago, and I really like this app because it's not bringing out the white noise. What you're getting coming through are actual voices. You can put it on a reverb, you can put it on echo, um, and I really like that app. I use it quite a bit, and I will be using it a lot more in my upcoming videos. I do still use the SB7, but it's it scans radio frequencies, um, and spirits. I feel that they use these pieces of equipment, they manipulate it to be able to communicate with us. And in the SB7, it's got the white noise, which makes it hard sometimes being able to pick up on uh, what voices or sounds that are coming through it, because you're also picking up on radio stations that it scans through. They do have it where you can scan forward or scan in reverse. I prefer reverse because a lot of what comes through with the radio station you can't quite make out. You're just hearing the noise. So any words that come through, I can concentrate more on as what I'm hearing. Um, like I say, the white noise makes it hard. In the Netrophonics, you don't have that white noise, um, and it's doesn't scan radio frequency waves or anything. It's programmed off of 8 word banks that that is used in that item, and the spirits are able to manipulate those word banks to get the words, be able to form a voice, because I don't believe that spirits, once you die, if you do come back to talk to us, you may have your voice, because have been people who said, well, that's their voice. But then there's been others that have gotten a voice come back through, and some of the responses they believe was of the person that we were trying to communicate with, but the voice was different. So, I mean, I'm not sure how that works or how that happens, but they use these devices and these word banks and the radio stations to be able to manipulate to um, be able to communicate with us. So, um, I mean, these are some of the things that we use old school, and the reason why I haven't been putting out videos, but we're going to be putting out a lot more. You'll see those coming up. Um, a lot of the incidents, I guess you would call them, or things that have happened, because there's been so many of them, it's hard to remember the majority of them unless I started going back through my journal and my log of things that have happened in the past. But you know, there's many different things. A lot of it is basically the same stuff, like most paranormal researchers out there, the videos they've put out. A lot of the same type activity is what everybody's picking up on, you know, whether it's, you know, with the K2 meter, heavy sounds, getting things moved, being able to see shadow figures, picking up EMS, which is EMF, electronic voice phenomenon. And think there for a second, which is EVPs. That's where we're getting voices either through our camcorders, voices come through our digital recorders, voices that come through our spirit boxes. You know, these are pretty much common in most of investigations that everybody does. The things that we're trying to really focus on is, you know, the accuracy of what readings or sounds or voices that we hear, if they're correlating to the questions that we ask, if we're able to capture a shadow figure on camera, capture a poltergeist type activity of something moving, capturing a door opening or shutting and nobody being there. You know, this is a lot of what we're trying to capture. It helps us with documenting or being able to prove that something is going on. So, I think pretty much that covers a good bit about some of the questions that I've been asked. I mean, I've been asked a lot of questions. I could probably, if I thought about it, well, I could probably come up with a few more that's been asked to me. But these are some of the basic ones that people ask and curious about. But this pretty much will wrap up this session here. The next session, like I say, I want to do one more. It's going to be on, excuse me, be more on the different types of equipment, how it's used, why we use it, how it's beneficial to investigations we do. That'll be on our next video. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you've had a chance to watch our other videos. If you haven't, be sure to go back and check those out. Like I say, this is a part series on paranormal investigating and research. A lot of information there. Some of it you may see beneficial, some of it you may think, you know, it's kind of ridiculous. You know, to me it is kind of educational, and you know, if you're new at it, a lot of these little points and tips might be able to help you out. Be sure to go to our channel, subscribe, become a follower or a fan. Hit that notification bell so every time one of our videos go live, you'll be able to, you know, they'll let you know, you can view it. Kind of getting dry throat here. You know, be sure to leave comments on what you think about the videos. Excuse me. You know, if you see something in our videos that we may have missed, if you have any questions or any suggestions to help us with making our videos better for our viewers, you know, all your comments are, we'd love to hear from you. And we do watch our comments and view them. And if we have any of their questions, if we can answer them back, we do. If it's something we're not sure of, you know, I may talk to another fellow investigator, researcher, possibly they'll have an answer for you, and we will let you know. But be sure to watch all our videos. It might be a little easier watching them from the first one on through to the last one. That way, because I kind of jump back and forth, you may hear me repeat myself, which I'm not saying I don't. I do quite a bit because I'm not used to doing this. So bear with me on that, because I do apologize. I may say something in my third video on a subject I talked about on my first one that I may have forgot or didn't think of at the time. So I kind of throw in little pieces here and there to add to those categories. So try to watch them, all the way through. And hope you enjoy them. And till our next video, stay spooky.